Hello, my friend. This is Clyde. Work starts now. I'm reading from John chapter 9 and verse 4, which says, "As long as it is day, we must do the works of him who sent me. Night is coming when no one can work." Let us talk about some employees, none of which represents you. First, there is the one who comes to work on time and spends the time leading up to the start of work, browsing social media, calling his friends. Time to start work and they leave to the restroom, and on their way back they stop at the break room for a cup of coffee. Lunchtime, they spend the whole hour at the table talking to everyone who comes into the lunchroom, and after the hour they go for a long walk so as to get the blood flowing. Work ends at 5, and when the clock strikes they are at the door. Then there's the other guy who is highly qualified but is not actively seeking a job. That one lives at home with his parents, hangs out with his friends most days, at least the ones who are at home like himself. He doesn't consider himself unemployed. He's simply not working, not ready to work. All the pressure to go find a job that he gets from his parents goes into one ear and out the other. Do you know anyone like any of these two guys? Recently, I heard someone talking about having escaped death out of an accident. As they told the story, one thing that they said struck me. God was not ready for me as yet because he knows I have work to do here. Have you ever heard that? Sometimes the folks who say that are not very young, and I wonder, what is it that God has for them to do? Why has he spared their lives and they have not yet started doing it? Jesus had an assignment, one that he knew of, and he wasted no time once it was time for work. In fact, as a 12-year-old child in Nazareth, he and his parents had made the pilgrimage that year to Jerusalem for the festival of the Passover. Luke 2 verse 43 says, after the festival was over, while his parents were returning home, the boy Jesus stayed behind in Jerusalem, but they were unaware of it. 3 days later, they found him in the temple back in Jerusalem. Listen to the dialogue between him and Mary, his mother. Mary: "Son, why have you treated us like this? Your father and I have been anxiously searching for you." Jesus: "Why do you search for me? Don't you know that I must be about my Father's business?" They had no clue what he was talking about. So here we find Jesus as an adult, and he comes across a blind man, blind from birth. The man did not ask Jesus to heal him. Instead, the disciples raised the question, "Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?" Jesus said, "Neither this man nor his parents sinned, but that the works of God should be revealed in him. I must work the works of him who sent me while it is day. The night is coming when no one can work." Are you following Jesus? What is the work of God that Jesus is talking about? Back in the temple at age 12, he talked about doing his Father's business. Well, in Luke chapter 4 and verse 18, we read, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me." This is Jesus quoting the Bible. "Because he has anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives and recovery of sight to the blind, to set at liberty those who are oppressed, to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord." Wow. What an assignment. This was the mission Jesus was on. This was the Father's business he was referring to back at age 12. This was the works of God. Jesus went on to heal the man we were talking about. Jesus had a mission to do, a mission that he was well aware of from an early age. But when he got to the right age and time, he set out to do the mission. And for 3.5 years, Jesus did not take a break. He was engaged in doing the Father's business, knowing full well that he doesn't have a long time to do what God wants him to do. Jesus did not waste time engaging in leisurely activities. We never read where he sent the disciples off on vacation. He did not take a vacation while here on earth. Mind you, he was as human as you and I are, and we found him sleeping on a boat once. We read where he rested in between assignments. Well, what's the point of all of this? You and I, and every believer, we have a special assignment to do for the King. We have kingdom business to tend to. The problem is that many of us have not started to do what God wants us to do. God did not give us a vacation. Rather, he left each of us a special assignment. The thing is that Jesus made it abundantly clear that the business of the Father is important and it must be done with a sense of urgency. Why? Because the nighttime is coming when you cannot work. Nighttime means that there is no light to help you to do the work. This is daytime work, because if we keep postponing the starting time, then we will never start the work that God has given us, and before you know it, it is nighttime. Let us not pretend. You know that nighttime is when we die, when we are no longer able to carry out the assignment that God had given us. Too many believers sit around doing nothing when there's a lot of work to do but not enough laborers. Where are the other laborers? We are busy doing everything apart from doing the master's business. And so when death seems to be near, we are desperately praying and asking God to spare our lives because we have work to do. Really? Who are you trying to fool? I hope you know what Jesus has left you here on earth to do. To win souls for the kingdom, to represent Jesus' love when you get a chance. Do Jesus' work while you still have strength and time. Do not put it off another day. Just get up, stand up, and set out to do